In this tutorial, we will have a look how we can create or add music to our game. And if I just click on this play button, we also have jumping sound, coin collecting one as you can hear. I hope you are able to hear the jumping sound as well as the music. We will play this sound into our game, or we will add. So I'm gonna turn down the music now. So I'm gonna turn down the music. I want to thanks Miraf Afzal, Kev Johet, and Rajat Sharma, aka Game of Life, for joining on YouTube membership. And I want to thanks Miraf Afzal and Kefe Johet for taking membership on Patreon. You can go YouTube membership as well as on Patreon. It's totally up to you, and you will unlock so many benefits. So check out them, make sure you just check out them. And without furthering delay, let's dive into this topic. Before you attach music to your game or any sound effects, make sure you just go to hierarchy, then select the main camera, and in main camera see that audio listener component is added up or not. If it's not, then click on add component and find by typing audio listener. Why we need this? So I already have attached, so I'm not gonna do that again. This audio listener component work as a microphone, and it's take the sound and then it's play the sound in our game. So that's why this audio listener components is important, and it's always attached to the reason why it's always attached to our main camera. And to create an audio, we need audio source component. So you can select any game object of your hierarchy, but I'm gonna create a separate game object for that. So let's go to hierarchy, right click or hit this plus icon. Let's create an empty game object, and I'm gonna call this something like audio. And let's go to transform, right click and reset the transform, and I'm gonna select this audio game object top of my hierarchy. I'm gonna drag it top of my hierarchy so I can see all the time. And to play the audio, we need to attach audio source component. To do so, select the game object, go over to inspector, click on add component, and find by typing audio source and attach that. So in audio source, we can see some properties. Firstly, audio clip. So you have to drag the clip right over here, which clip we want to play. So we can go to project tab, then assets, audio. Of course, I will give a link in the description of all of this audio. You can go ahead and check that out. So I'm going to select the theme or the music. So I'm going to select that and drag it over to audio clip. Now this clip just gonna play right after the game start. Why? Because this play on awake is checked. If I just uncheck and click on this play button in the top, the music not gonna be play right after the game start. So that's why I'm gonna check this play on awake, and we only want for the theme. So something like when we are jumping, we don't want to play that sound right after the game start, or we only want to play that sound once the player jump as well as collecting coin. So some sound we don't want to play right after the game start, so that's why we need to uncheck for some sound. And this is music, so that's why we can just check this loop time, loop box. So the music or the theme just gonna loop. So to hear it, we're gonna hit this play button in the top, and let's have a look on, let's take a look on hearing. So the music or the theme just gonna play right after the game start, because this is one check, and indeed we are able to hear the music. And we can go to volume section and we can just turn down, so the music just getting down and it's get zero. We can drag this, and if we just go over to this spatial blind and drag it to the all the way 3D, now the sound just gonna work as 3D. And if we take this audio game object, and audio game object, we can see we attach this audio source component. So if I select that and select this move tool from here and drag it further from this main camera or that audio listener game object, we do know in main camera audio listener game object is attached. So if I just select this audio game object and drag it further from that audio listener, or from that main camera, just drag it further from that game object, we can hear that the music's just volume getting down. So that is the reason it's gonna work like the music just, or the volume, sorry, the sound effect just gonna work as 3D. Now if we take this game object close to our main camera, we can see the volume just getting increased. So that is the thing. But this is 2D game, so that's why I don't want to drag this spatial plane all the way to 3D. So I'm gonna get out of play mode. Let's drag basically it's not gonna save if we have done in play mode. So I'm gonna leave this spatial plane to 2D because this is our 2D game. But if you have a 3D game, make sure you just drag this spatial plane to 3D, and the sounds gonna work as 3D game. Sorry, the sounds will accordingly it's gonna change the volume. And what we have to do now, so we added the music or the theme, but some sound we need to play, something like once we jump we need to play the jump sounds, once we collect this coin we need to play the coin collect sound. So we need to play those sound at a specific moment. So that's why we're gonna create to script for that. Before we do, and I'm gonna audio clip, I'm gonna choose, click right over here, and I'm gonna choose this one, none. And let's uncheck this play on awake as well as this loop time. Why? Because we're gonna set this audio source property through our script. So we're gonna have multiple sounds, so that's why we're gonna attach multiple audio source component, and all of these properties like audio clip, this loop time, and this volume just gonna set through our script. So that's why I just uncheck, and all of this I just set to default. I just uncheck this play on awake. Basically some sound we don't want to play right after the game starts, so that's why. So let's attach audio source component two more times. Why? Because we're gonna have multiple, one for coin collecting and one for our jumping, so that's the reason. So let's click on add component, find by typing audio source, and let's attach that. Let's click right over here. I'm gonna uncheck this play on awake. Let's attach one more time audio source, and let's click right there. And play on awake, I'm gonna uncheck. And what we have to do now, we're going to create two script, and we will set the properties of this audio source like this clip and this loop time and the volume through our script. So to do so, we're going to create two script we know. So first thing, we will create a audio manager script, and that is script just gonna handle when we should play or when we should play the audio game object, sorry, or when we should play the sound effect or the theme or the music or any sound we want to do. To do so, let's go to project tab, assets, then we create a script folder first, then right click on that script folder, then create C# script and name it to something like audio manager. I already have it over here, so you can select that script and drag it or attach to any game object of your hierarchy. But I'm not gonna do that, I'm gonna do inside this audio game object. So I'm gonna select that game object, and let's select that script and drag it over to add component section. You can attach this audio manager script to any game object of your hierarchy you want, it's totally up to you. And now let's double click that script to open it up in Visual Studio. So by default we can see start and update function. So let's create another script. To do so, let's go to Unity, and that script just gonna handle basically the name of the clip we want to play or the sound name, as well as the volume, loop time, audio source, as well as audio clip, which clip we want to play. So basically that script just gonna handle or just gonna take or properties which audio clip we want to play, and the properties of that sound like the loop time as well as the volume. To do so, let's go over to that folder one more time, right click, then create C# script and name it to something like sound. I already have it over here, sorry, already have it over here. So I'm gonna select that script. Basically let's double click that script to open it up in Visual Studio. So this is script right over here, it's not gonna sit on an any game object of hierarchy. So that's why we can remove this mono behavior and this colon. Instead this script right over here gonna basically we're gonna define some properties right over here. So let's remove this start and update function. First thing, this script right over here gonna take the name of the sound we want to play. So make sure you just making it public so we can see through inspector, because we later on we're gonna create some object of this sound as many we want, because we're gonna have multiple sound. So first thing, it's gonna take string, basically name, so we can call name. And the saying second thing, it's gonna take basically it's gonna have the volume. So let's create a public float, and we can call this one volume volume. And before we make the volume, and if you want to make a perfect slider for your volume, so make this square brackets, and in brackets you can type this range, and range right over here as a first argument, it's gonna take the minimum. So the minimum sound we're gonna have 0, and the maximum we're gonna have 1f. So we're gonna get a nice slider of this volume right now. And the third thing, it's gonna take the, you can say, the clip or the audio clip. So let's create a public, sorry, public audio clip. Basically which clip we want to play, it's gonna take that. So we can call this one something like clip and close that up with semicolon. Basically audio clip right over here means if we go to Unity and select this audio game object and select any source component, basically referencing this audio clip, and it's gonna take so we're gonna define it there. So let's go to script now, and let's create before we after volume we're gonna create a bool parameter. Basically the sound should be looped or not. So let's create a public bool, and we can call this something like loop, and close that up with semicolon. For the music, we're gonna check this loop time to this bool to check. Basically the music just gonna loop, but for some certain sound like jumping or collecting coin, for those sound we don't want sound effect to be looped. So that's the reason. So let's create a another for audio source. So let's create a public audio source. Why we are doing this audio source? Basically this sound game object also gonna take the audio source, and we can call this one source, and close that up with some colon. And now control S to save your code. I'm gonna remove these two namespaces in the top, we don't need it. And control S to save your code, and go to Unity, and we will open up the audio manager script, because now we will create multiple sound object from that script. And that's gonna, firstly it's gonna take the name. So let's open up the audio manager script by double clicking on it, and let's go to top of our class. I'm gonna remove these two namespaces in the top, we don't need it. Instead we're gonna create some objects of that script. So that is a, make sure you just making it public so we can see underneath our audio manager script right over here, that is sound script or the sound, you can say. And we can call this one sound, and close that up with semicolon. Control S to save your code and move to Unity. So we should able to see in audio manager script that sound, we just created an object of that sound script. So the we can see the properties something. Firstly we should see the name of the sound, and the second thing, we have defined its I guess the volume. But as you can see, we not able to see that. Why? Because we need to mark that script as serializable. To do so, let's open up the sound script by double clicking on it. And so before you create the script, top of your script right over here, make this square brackets and use system.serializable. Now we're gonna able to see this properties. Firstly name, second thing is volume, third thing is loop time, fourth is a clip, and the fifth is the source, audio source component. If we just press down Control S to save our script and move over to Unity by now and select this audio game object, so in audio manager script by now we should able to see those properties just gonna appear. So we created object out of that sound script or that sounds class, you can say. So if I select this audio game object by now, we can see the name of the sound, or we can define it over here as well as the clip and the audio source. And I'm going to drag this volume all the way up to the 1 because we're going to have the proper sound, and later on a player can change the sound depending upon if the player wants or not. But the problem is we have only one sound object or one sound, but we do need multiple sounds of one for jumping, one for collecting coins. So that's why we're gonna open up the audio manager script by double clicking on it, and we will make this sound object or this sound class square brackets, and we're gonna call it something like sounds because we're gonna have multiple sounds, one for jumping, one for collecting coin, and one for the theme or the music. So that is the reason, and this square brackets we just made an array, and array just gonna hold up multiple values. It can be sounds, it can be names, it can be numbers, anything like that. It can hold up multiple values or multiple things. And control s to save your code by now, and if we go to script, we're gonna able to see and sounds array will just gonna appear right over here. So just wait, and we can see list is empty sounds array. So we have three audio source component, or we're gonna have three sounds. So that's why I'm gonna click this plus icon three times, one time, two time, and three time. It's totally depend upon how many sounds you have. You can create multiple, it's totally up to you. And first sound, I'm gonna call this one theme, and I'm gonna drag the volume all the way up. And the second just gonna be the jump, and the third gonna be the, you can say, collect, or we can just call this one coin instead, coin. And I'm gonna drag the volume all the way up. So over here we need to drag the clip, as you can see. So we need to drag the clip. So for the theme, I'm gonna drag the theme clip. To do so, let's go to project tab, assets, then audio, and I have the theme right over here. Let's select that and drag it over to this theme clip. And for this jump, I'm gonna select the jump one, and let's drag it over to this jump clip, as well as this coin just goes over to coin. What we have to do now, we need all of this audio source component, and then if we just click on the first, we want to change this audio clip to none with this first theme. And the second, this audio clip, I want to change this audio clip one to this jump audio clip, we can see right over here, and so on. To do so, let's open up the script audio manager by double clicking on it. So we need all of those audio source component. So let's make a audio source array. So let's go to top of our class, let's make a public audio source audio source, and make this square brackets for array, and we can call sources, and close that up with semicolon. Control s to save your code and move to Unity. And what we have to do now, we need to drag one by one this audio source into that audio sources array, or that list. We need to drag one by one. And if we can see our sources, and it says list is empty. So let's select the first one, drag it there, second one, let's drag it there, and the third one. So the first source, or this the first one index, we can see 0, and the for this next one index is 1, and the third one index we can see 2, this one. So let's double click, and what we want to do, we want to change the clip of this audio source, this audio clip, to the first this theme audio clip. To do so, let's open up our script by double clicking on it, and let's go to start function. And we do know that start function get called in the start of the game. So in the start of the game, we're going to define all of the audio source clip. To do so, let's use this for loop, and we do know for loop just gonna run until it is length. So we will go to, now we're gonna replace this length with sounds dot length. Sounds dot length right over here basically means how many sounds we have. So if we go to Unity, we can see 1 2 3. So we have 3 sounds. So that's why this sounds dot length right over here gonna be 3. So these for loops are gonna run until it hits 3. So in the so for the first sound, so we're gonna go to sources, sources, and make these square brackets and put I. So in the for the first time, this I just gonna be the first one, and we will set equal to sounds, sounds sorry, we will not gonna use that sounds dot clip. We want to set equal to sounds, sounds I dot clip, and close that up with some colon. So sources I over here, I gonna be 0 for the first time. So sources I dot clip, so basically we just going over to this audio source, so basically this audio source, and accessing this clip, and we're setting this clip equal to we can see sounds I dot clip. So basically we just going to this first sound, and then accessing this clip, we setting that just is we just storing this clip, you can say, into this sources I dot clip, means basically this one. I hope you get the idea. So we're gonna do the same thing. So it's gonna run until, so for the second time this gonna be I over here just gonna be 1, because so for I over here, so 0 plus plus basically means 0 plus 1 gonna be 1. So second time this I over here gonna be 1. So we going to second sources, basically the second, then accessing this audio clip, and we're setting this audio clip equal to the second one audio clip, which is the jump one, and the list just goes on. So you can just do as many sound you have. And right now what we're gonna do, we're gonna set the volume as well. So we will go to sources, make this square brackets down, we can say something like volume, and then we will set equal to sounds I dot volume. So we just, what we're doing, we just going over to the first audio source, so 0. So for we do know for the first time it's gonna be 0, so we're going to this audio source, and then accessing this volume, and we're setting this volume equal to the sounds I, so which is sorry, sounds I, basically this one you can see a. So this is volume, we just taking this volume, and we're storing into this the first one, as well as in the second one, we just changing this volume with our this volumes, you can say. So we're setting that, and we're gonna do the same thing for the loop. So let's set sources I dot loop, and we will set equal to sounds I dot loop, and close that up with semicolon. Control S to save your code. And now if we head over to Unity, we should see, so we need to play our first sound. So first sound just gonna be so we're gonna make a function for playing our sound. To do so, what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to script, and let's remove this update function, we don't need it. Instead we're gonna make a function for playing our sound. To do so, let's make a public. So make sure you just making this function public, because we want to call this function from another class, or something like once we collect the coin, we need to play the coin collect sound, something like that. So that's why, so for function we have to play void, we have to type void, and we can call something like play sound, and this over here it's gonna take the name of the sound. So string, we're gonna pass name, and make this curly brackets. So in these curly brackets, what we're gonna do, we're gonna use this for loop. So for type 4 sounds dot length, so length right over here, let's pass sounds dot length, means how many sounds we have. So we have 3 sounds, we do know, sorry, we do know. So over here we're gonna check for each sound. So this just gonna run until it hits 0. So we're gonna check right over here if sounds sorry, if sources, sorry, if I sounds I dot name, if it's equals to name, and then click make these curly brackets. So what we're doing, we do know this for loop just gonna run until it hits 0, and we're checking all of the sound. And over here we're checking if I sounds I, so I, let's suppose this one is 0. So for the first time this gonna be 0. So 0, basically we just moving over to this first sound, and we checking of that name. So we accessing the name of that sound, and we checking if that name is equals to name, and we gonna replace this name with something like theme, and we can replace this name with jump. So if we set the jump, so this just gonna play this jump sound clip, and the list just goes on. So we're checking the name right over here. So if I sounds I dot name, if it's equals to our name, so in that moment we want to play that sound. So we will go to sources, sources, then I dot play, to play the sound, and make this first bracket and close that up with semicolon. So we just going over to sources I. So let's suppose this I over here something like 1. So if we 1, so we going over to this audio source. The 1 basically means the second audio source component, so that's why we going to that, and then we just playing this audio source or whatever we just replace with this jump, so that it's gonna play this jump clip right away, or it's gonna play the jump sound. I hope you get the idea. And control s to save your code. And what we want to do, we're gonna go to start function. So in the start of the game we want to play the theme or the music sound, so that's why we're gonna call this play sounds function right underneath over here after defining all of the sounds. So we're gonna call this function right over here, which is play sounds, and make this first bracket, and it's gonna take the name. So in quotation we have to type the name, so in our case the theme, and close that up with semicolon. So the theme sound just gonna play right after the game start, and control s to save your code and move over to Unity, and it's gonna play the theme sound right after the game start. So just wait for to compile, and once it's done, and now it's done, so the theme, so we can check the name and make sure you just spelling as you did right there, which is we can see theme. And now if we just click on this play button in the top right after the game start, a theme or the music just gonna play right away. And indeed we are able to hear that sound, and indeed we able to hear that sound. And we can just play around with this volume. Sorry, it's not working. So we can play around with this volume if we go to audio source. Sorry, the theme, we get some error, so let's get autoplay mode, and you can play around with this and you're gonna get hang of it. And let's go to our visual code. So it's happening right over here, sources I, sounds I dot volume, and it's pretty fine. And once we collect this coin, we need to play the coin collect sound. To do so, let's open up our player script. So let's double click that to open it up in Visual Studio. So over here something, we can see we just collecting the coin right over here. So once we collect this coin, we want to play that sounds. To play, we're gonna go to, we will use this find object of type, and into these arrows we need to pass the script name. So we're gonna go to audio manager dot, make this first bracket dot play sound, and this gonna take the sound name. So this is our coin collecting, so that's why we're gonna pass coin and close that up with semicolon. So what we're doing over here, we're just going over to this audio manager script and then calling this function play sound, and play sound function just gonna do this thing right over here, we can see. I hope you get the idea. So we're gonna go to our player script, and we just calling that function, and which is coin. So control s to save your code. And once we jump, so I'm going to copy this line of code by control C, and once we are jumping, we need to play the jump sound. So we jumping right over here, so we calling the jump sound. So let's do it over here. So instead of coin, this will be our jump, and control s to save your code. And let's move over to Unity by now. So once we jump, we are gonna play the jump sound, because we're just going over to this audio manager script and then calling this function, and it's taking firstly the name of the sound if it's equals to our name, and we just pass the name, the coin, and the jump. So let's go over to Unity by now, and if we click on this play button in the top and try to collect the first coin, we're gonna able to hear the coin collect sound right after collecting this coin. And if we just collect, and I hope you are able to hear, we can play the jump sound. I'm gonna turn down the volume of the music, so I'm gonna go to script and I'm gonna remove this function, or just gonna make these two slashes, so it's gonna make a comment, and comment don't interrupt our code, you can say, and control S to save your code. And if I just hit back to Unity by now, you're gonna able to hear the sound right away. Once we collect this coin, the coin collection just gonna play because we calling that function. So let's hit this play button in the top. So basically we just replacing those audio source clip, so we don't need the audio source component basically, so we can just remove that. And if I just collect this coin, we can see coin collection, and if I jump, we are able to hear, we can hear that jump sound is playing. And collect this coin, we can see color coin collected sound just playing over again and again once we collect those coin, and the jumping one. I hope you get the idea. And what you have to do by now, make sure you just make this one prefab, select that and drag it over to that prefab folder or into that assets, and go over to menu. So I'm gonna go over to menu, let's double click and let's click on save, and let's go to menu, and I'm gonna drag the audio right over here, and I'm gonna delete this sound. So let's go to prefab folder, I have audio over here, so let's select that and drag it over to in the menu. And let's open up the audio manager script one more time, and I'm gonna replace this two slashes and control S to save your code. And now let's move over to Unity. So if we click on this play button right after the game start, the music just gonna play. Why? Because we calling that theme, this theme one, or this theme SFX in the start of the game, or just we just playing that. So let's click on this play button in the top right now, and right after the game start, this theme just gonna play right away. So just wait, and I hope you are able to hear the sound. And if we just click on this play button, we can see the sound is playing, and we can hear the jump sound as we jumping in the y-axis, as well as collecting this coin. The coin collection sound is playing. I hope you get the idea, and I'm gonna get out of play mode. So I hope you get the idea how you can create two script or a script to just control when we should play some certain music or SFX you want to play in your game. And lastly, thanks for watching this video.